Sean, we are live. We have not done one of these in quite some time, so I want to welcome everybody to the Hashtag405 channel. It is me, the OU flag guy, joined tonight by Sean. Sean, we again have not done one of these in about a month. I took a nice little breather, had to do some work stuff, get ready for job stuff with us going into next fiscal year. That being said, how are you? Did you pay attention to the Masters all weekend? Were you rooting for Tiger Woods like Eddie was?
Not really. I mean, here's my thing with golf. Golf nuts like treat individual players like anime waifus, man. It's a little stalkerish at times.
I was impressed with Eddie tweeting about Tiger like every 10 minutes. Like, you're very much right.
I mean, Tiger had no shot to win this thing. He was not going to walk. It would have been the greatest sports story in the history of mankind. He was never going to win the Masters. It was. I had it on the background because it's like while I was doing other stuff, but it's like for on and off for most. But once like day 2, it seemed evident this is not going to happen. Then he just kind of like last few days collapsed and had his worst rounds. I think his worst round ever, which is to be expected considering what he's coming back from. Right. It's like, okay, the Tiger, it's great to see him if you're a fan and you're a fan of golf and him playing again. And he's going to, it's just, it was never going to happen. Just never was. But,
I'm impressed with how he made it on Sunday, honestly, like making it as far as he did.
Well, the fact that he played
on Friday.
Well, the fact that he played 4 rounds was kind of a miracle. I mean, so he's 46. He had his swan song a couple of years ago when I was in town. By the way, I watched it with my uncle because it got rain delayed and they had to play early in the morning on like Monday. But yeah, it's just he's done. I just don't foresee him ever being seriously competitive in a major ever again. He might prove me wrong, and come close one time, but he's 46. Yep. It's over. The Tiger stuff is over. But yeah, like I don't get into golf. Like I watch the major tournaments, but because those are the ones that matter. And I'm sure there's a few other, like the people who can watch golf every week, God bless you, because some of you people can watch golf 4 straight days and I can't do it. I just can't do it. And I know there's me people say, well, you watch football like 3 or 4 days in the fall every weekend. I'm watching different games with different teams and different participants. And it's fresh every time, like every 3 hours, like on Saturdays, there's different games. Like you watching the same dudes, like hit a ball with a stick for 4 straight days. And I can't do it. I can't do it. I normally tune in on Sundays if it's interesting. I know Rory made it a little interesting, but the fact that he wasn't in the final pairing kind of hurt. I mean, not really, but it's just he made it close. But the leader who won, he birdied his way to a green jacket.
Well, and I mean, as you said, with Tiger making it to the final rounds with it, because you could see, like, I think it was the 17th or 18th hole, he was clearly limping.
Well, yeah, but it didn't. Just making the cut, honestly, was an impressive feat for him. For what
absolutely.
So, congrats to him. He made the cut. Again, just I will not have to watch or golf again until the I guess it's the is the U.S. Open next? It's the U.S. Open next, right? Or is it the PGA?
I know it was the PGA.
I'm so used to the old days where the PGA was like in August, and it's just weird that it's not. I don't know. I'm used to like Masters, Open, British Open, or the Open Championship, because they won't call it the British Open anymore, and then PGA. PGA was like is like a big August, like super late July, early August tournament. Now it's not. So whatever.
That's the one down in Southern Hills, isn't it? Trying to see on it because they're saying PGA Championship is in May at this point.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. Because it used to be in August and stuff like that. So
yeah,
I'm so used to the Open being like the next one in June. So it's not, but
I got to give credit to him though. I mean, it still is. I know it is a very high math sport. I can't do it. I enjoy putt.
Well, no, it's an expensive sport. You need to have a set of clubs, and you need to, if you want to play on a decent course, you got to, so there's barriers. So
Absolutely. I do want to give my buddy a shout out. I don't know how he got there. He has always looked up to Tiger Woods since even I knew him since back we were in grade school, and he got to play with Tiger the day before he announced he was going to play in the Masters, and he was golfing about 5 feet away from him, and to him that was a dream fulfilled. I'm like, this was the opportunity to do it. So I don't know how he was, if it was the company sponsoring and he just got that ticket, if he was in the area, I don't know, but it was cool to see him so pumped about it and just like very excited to like just be there at this point with it. So speaking of like hitting balls with sticks, I mean, OU baseball was giving their best impression of the OU basketball team in Bedlam this weekend. That was rough.
I had to pick and choose what I was watching this weekend, and I mean, we're not a baseball school yet. It's been a minute, and I know Eric likes to say, "You won a championship '94." Yeah, and Arkansas won March Madness in '96. What's your point? we're just baseball's not our strong suit. I mean, like this, the few times I've watched the baseball team, they start strong, but they have no relief pitching. They have no closers, so they always gag at the end in a big game. So you can get a big. They got the ability to get a big on like Texas or Oklahoma State, and it's just they do not have any depth of pitching. Period, and that's just kind of like the simple matter of things. And also, they make really awful errors, and they're a very aggressive base running team, and that's a double-edged sword. Sometimes it works, sometimes it doesn't. So the more aggressive you are, the more risk you take, and you get really cheap outs. You just give them away. So it's just, I know some people on my timeline wanted to skip fired, especially if that Texas collapse a little while ago. I was just like, well, baseball is not my forte, so I'm only going to speak on it like very, very briefly, or specifically college baseball. But I mean, Major League Baseball is just, to me, it's like, oh, it started up again. I thought you were still in, potential lockout or strike or whatever potential is going to happen, but they only missed a week, and I'm sure there'll be like a million asterisks on their potential records because they missed a week, or I don't know. Like, you didn't hit a home run in April, so therefore your record is invalid, or whatever.
Baseball is a weird sport. There are people who are passionate about it, and they just want it just as original to the sport as possible.
They wanted to put webs on the bases in the World Series.
It ruins the integrity of the game. Are you sure about that?
They wanted to promote Spider-Man 3, so they had a point, actually. So I can't really blame them.
Well, yeah. That being said, I mean, I don't know on Skip. Again, I'm kind of the similar as you are. I used to work baseball when I was back at Centervision a couple years back, but baseball's not my forte either. It's fun watching it in person, but other than that, it's pretty. For me, it is a boring sport. I do not blame people who watch it themselves, but for anything in general, is what it is with it. Now, the flip side of it, softball. Here's my question. I have a true question for you. Do you think they're going to break the overall win streak record? Knocking on wood, of course.
Isn't it?
Now speaking,
isn't it also 47, if I'm not mistaken?
Yeah, it's 47.
Of course it is.
By UCLA. And they would break it actually officially breaking it by beating Oklahoma State.
Yeah, I think I took a look at that earlier today, and there's a lot of games left, and I think it's fair to ask the question if they can not just break that streak and they go all the way, not losing. Now, look, you get into super regionals and beyond. That's a tough ask. But for regular season, I think it's possible, or even Big 12 championship, it's possible to win out through there. It feels like it's setting up that this could be Patty Gasso's greatest team ever. Because you just look at, they're just murder, death killing people. And I look at Texas Tech.
Tech today.
And Eric said that was going to happen on the stream this past week. He said, you're going to get like a 20-0 game. I was like, okay. And he was right. It was like 21-0. Tech is not very good. They've had some close games, close losses, but there's only 3 legit teams in the conference anyway, and we're about to play them fairly soon. We're about to play Texas next week on the Longhorn Network, so everyone can watch it. And so it's just, if they get through that series, and they'll have Kansas, and
they have Iowa State. That's really the only other threat going into.
I guess they have Iowa State too. It's just, look, if they drop a game, some people will cry. I won't, because they've shown they can have down games, and it just all depends if you go up against a decent pitcher or not. But you look at the lineup, and it's just, whether I'm listening on radio with Plank giving the call, or I'm able to watch on ESPN Plus, it's just, it doesn't, you can't pitch around this team. You just can't. No. And you we're gonna walk Allo. Okay, Tiara is in front of her. You got Grace Lyons. You got Burritos doing well. You got Jada Coleman. Who am I missing? Please tell me. It is just it is absurd. And you honestly have to ask. This is how good this team is. You actually honestly have to ask yourself the question: Is Jocelyn Allo the best player on this team right now?
Yeah.
Should someone else on this team win Player of the Year? I mean,
I think you have someone in mind.
I don't know. Grace Lyons, maybe? I don't know. Something crazy like that. You can ask. That's how absurd this team is right now. And I've been saying I'm going to do more softball this year. It's okay. So I have been covering more softball on the channel, and there's some days where I'm just it's not like football, in my opinion, where you can just it's one game a week and you get on, you talk about what happened, and then this, because it's a one game a week sport. With this, right. It's what more could I say about this team that isn't a copy of the previous game or the game before that or the game before that? Oh, well, Tiara Jennings hit another home run. It's like cut and paste. So if anyone out there is complaining, you said you cover softball, but you don't cover all the games, no one's doing that. But if someone were to do that, it's what do you want me to say that's new? They're really good. And we're talking potentially all-time great here. It's still early, but I keep, over the past month and a half, of who's beating this team?
That's what I want to ask you.
But it'll probably happen next weekend. They might go 2-1 against Texas, or something like that. But if they sweep them and it's they win 7-4 or 5-1 or whatever, it's still impressive going on the road.
Yeah.
So, but Chris Plank said he literally has people who call up, and if OU only wins a game 2-1, what's wrong with the Sooners? Bro,
they could be resting. They could have an off day. There is a lot more factors to that.
Tennessee's kind of good. You play Baylor 4 times. Eventually, they're gonna figure out something to make an adjustment.
Right.
Texas Tech went through 3 pitchers in the first inning today,
and it didn't help. And that's honestly, that's the.
I had to go. I left the room because I was going to get some water or use the bathroom. I come back. I'm I went on Twitter I was are they on their 3rd pitcher? And they're yes. I was because I swear it's who is? I look over my TV I didn't. There's a new. I'm just it was just
right, and
ridiculous.
And it's what it's ironic, as this team is so dominating. There isn't a storyline around them. People are struggling to get anything, except yet they're doing what people are expecting them to do.
They're the most. They're really fun to watch, but they're also really boring to cover in that sense, because what do I complain about as a fan nothing. Or even as a neutral observer? It's after they play Kansas, they don't leave the state for the rest of the season and postseason.
Correct.
And people are you're gonna hear that pop back up again. Oh, it's not fair. Oklahoma gets to glorify home. You're gonna hear that from people. All right, move it then. I dare you. Move it. Move the World Series. Do it. See what happens.
And for anyone watching, it's here until 2035. Just Just let y'all know.
I mean, and listen, I'm going to open up a can of worms when I say this.
Do it.
There are some recent political things that have happened inside the state that could potentially, if someone wants to protest, I'm not saying anyone at Oklahoma is going to do it, but that's a possibility that could rear its ugly head any moment now. I'm not saying that's going to happen, but I pay attention to these things, and that's kind of a big deal, especially considering women are involved. So correct. I'll just let you figure that out on your own. I'm not saying it's going to happen. I'm just saying
it's going to be like what not delving into the politic of it, but it's the situation of it. It's like what happened in Georgia, where at some point that's going to come to a head, and the law is not going to win. That's what it's going to come down to. Is Oklahoma? If it's like if OU football and Oklahoma softball are affected, it ain't going to survive. It's going to tank really hard.
I don't know about that, but like what I'm thinking of, how many players on UCLA might have a problem with that and say, I'm not going to Oklahoma. We're not going. We're protesting. It's possible. So it's just now at the end of the day, will it happen? Probably not. But
well, there's also too
when you try to take away people's rights, people get upset. So just throwing that out there.
Let's add this in too. Now, I think this is just regulated to government, okay? But Los Angeles County said anybody I think it's affiliated with the city, so not necessarily the universities, cannot go on LA's dime to Texas or anywhere in Florida right now. Yeah. At one point, there was an extension, and I believe they had to really lighten up. Oh, this does not include university sports. Like, these are contracts and stuff, but they could ban it, and that's part of the deal with it. And
so it's just something to keep an eye.
It is something to keep an eye on.
Now, I think someone would have said something by now. That's why I'm not saying I don't think it's likely at this point, because I think some athletes are so laser focused on what they're trying to do right now. UCLA just they lost a series to Stanford just recently. So whoever's voting them number one.
Yeah, I was going to bring that up to you.
Good job.
If someone votes them number one this week, do they lose their voting privileges?
I don't care, because we have a tournament and no committee is not going to put OU number one overall seed and not have a Norman regional and super regional and all these things. So I just it's just to be different. It's like the jerk. It's like the jerks who love to. I almost said something else. It's like the jerks who like to say, "I refuse to unanimously vote someone NBA MVP because, well, no one's ever gotten it before. Well, why should we give it to this guy?" And I was like, I don't know. Like, are you playing games, or is it? Are your feelings hurt? It's like, we can't make Steph Curry or LeBron unanimous MVP because no one's ever gotten that before. And are they worried? Like, who cares? Who do you think they're the MVP? Vote who you really think's MVP. I'm going to vote a bench player on the Jazz as MVP just to make sure we don't. Obviously not doing that, but just there's such silly mental gymnastics and like silly little feelings getting hurt. It's like the article that was written about Saquon Barkley in like some Pennsylvania newspaper. It's a crime he's not gonna win the Heisman. It's so sad. I did a reenactment of that. It's amazing. Just like cried so hard. Saquon's not winning the Heisman. Who is winning the Heisman? Who did win the Heisman that year was Baker. So, and he'll get recognized a week from Saturday. So
he will be. We can move actually on to spring game talk. Let's talk spring game. So spring games here in a week. A lot of
$15 a ticket. Get yours now.
Is it 15? I thought it was 20. I thought it was 20.
I checked today on Sooner Sports. 15.
$15.
So 20 is way too much. In my opinion, 15 is too much. But I think $10. Seriously, no, I'm seriously $10. It was $10 in 2001. So I don't know. But anyway,
I personally think the spring game $10 is too much anyway. I get it, but
if you want to make it double digits, that's fine. There was somebody tried to make a GoFundMe to get me to the spring game, and I politely said, please don't.
it's the spring game. Like,
well, no. I think it's important that as many people go as possible. I'm in Orlando, and if I was like regionally close, I would drive or make the point to go.
Yeah,
I'm not, and plus I can't just up and go with that little notice. I mean, you think a couple weeks is enough, but it's not for me. I have things I got a couple of things I got to take care of here personally that are a pain in my ass, and I can't leave that hanging. So
right.
Plus I'll be doing a stream anyway, so people can. I might try to do something fun. I'm trying to come up with something fun that's not just a regular watch along. No promises. We'll see if I can figure it out. I'll do it. But like my whole thing with the spring game, which great crowd for A&M. Like 12 people showed up. It was fantastic. Six people.
12th man.
Six people showed up for Clemson. Did you see a picture of Clemson?
It was bad.
It was not good, and the offense was even worse.
Yeah.
So Clemson fans wanted to see what the offense would look like, and I know it's a spring game, but oh god, it was bad. But for the Aggies,
it's what you kind of told me about spring games, where it's like we put through much credit into it, but at the same time, you do get a tiny bit of a preview, and if it's not smooth, you've got a rough summer coming.
If you can't hit people who are open in a spring game, you don't have a quarterback. So
yeah.
Clemson doesn't have a quarterback right now. It is bad. But for A&M, I expected more for the next great dynasty that I've been told is coming in college football. Because the greatest recruiting class of all time
that they paid for.
No, I have no problem if they paid for it. I hope Oklahoma pays for a recruiting class soon. I really do. No, I have no problem they paid for it, because we live in a world where everyone gets. I see everyone's still mad about NIL. So I hope we open up our checkbook too. Are you kidding me? Please do. What? Please accuse Oklahoma of buying players. It'll mean that we're back to the Switzer days. Please, I beg of you.
It's funny.
Please tell me we're buying players. I want people to accuse us of cheating again. That means I know we're back on the right track. Please.
It's funny you say that, because one of my coworkers actually said, "Man, I know Oklahoma is going to be unstoppable when we start getting that news type of you're paying players to come cool." They're already cracking that joke about a week and a half ago.
Well, the problem is we don't have the money that Texas and A&M has when it comes to the boosters, and we just don't. So, but we still in the the olden days of like the 70s when the Southwest Conference was at its most corrupt. Maybe the 80s they're the most corrupt, but still those were tough battles we had to win back then too, with unlimited college football scholarship availability.
Right.
Or you could just offer, you could have 5 high caliber quarterbacks and whatnot on your roster, and none of them would play.
Right.
So it's just, please accuse us of cheating. I know we'll be on the right track if that's what's happening. But even with that, and the A&M spring game was free admittance. You just show up. Maybe you have to pay for parking, but you show up, you walk in, enjoy the spring game. They only got 22,000. You only got 20. No, but like here's the problem with that, in my opinion. You have this great recruiting class. Things are trending up for the Aggies. They're going to do this and that. It's free. All you have to do is show up. Spring games have, if you would ask me 5-6 years ago, I would have whatever. I'd still laugh at it a little bit, but I would still, it's spring game. We're in a different world now. Spring games are big recruiting weekends. So when all of us made fun of Alabama, back in 2007, 2008 or whatever, when Saban first came in and they had 90,000, you know who is a big guy who is responsible for that? It's that turnip seed.
Yeah.
So
the only ones we never make fun of is Nebraska, because they pack their spring games regardless if they're winning,
as they should. So
yeah,
but listen, these become major recruiting events, and you need every edge you can get. Every single one.
I think that's something to mention with that, though, is you got to make it fun for the crowd, though, too. It's not just the recruits. You got to get the people to come in there. I'll say the largest crowd I ever was the season following the Sugar Bowl, or it was the year that Baker was going to get the Heisman. That was that 2000. He was a senior. That place was packed. But was it the funnest one? No, actually, the funnest one I went to was the one I went with you to. What? It was at night.
That's another thing. It was at night. It felt like a real game atmosphere. It felt like you were at a game. So, and I really wish they would eventually go back to that, because under the light spring game is fun. It feels different. You're not in the hot spring sun, and you're not just baking out there, so to speak. And for this one, it's like, look, if you can't come out for Baker and the statue, and if that doesn't get you hyped to be part of that, and you can legitimately like get there driving distance or whatever, I don't know what to tell you. But like, you tell me it ain't worth $15 to have a seat in that place and be able to see that and hear him get on the microphone and like pump up the crowd, because he's going to get that crowd energized when he gets on a microphone.
I know a friend of mine who's not going actually for that reason, not like not going for Baker or anything like that with it, but it was he wanted to walk out and see the statue, which they're more than happy to do, but they said, we're not going to readmit you. He's like, I'm not going at this point. He is set on that of, if they're not going to allow you to readmit, if you're going to walk out the
okay, so the statue's going to be out. So the statue's outside, and they're going to.
Correct.
So he's going to be on the outside. He's not going to be. He's got to go. He's got to get in the building at some point to do something too,
Correct.
right? He's got to do like that would be stupid. Like obviously they would have everything on the video board for people to watch on the outside. I mean, I thought they'd be something smart and like wheel it in or something like that.
That's what I thought. That's what I
would do that. You would wheel it in and then you put it down later, but I guess they want to have the tarp ready to go in a few weeks. So
that's what I thought too. Was
at least it wasn't in the back of a truck without a tarp like Bob's was. That was interesting.
Driving around Dallas, just waiting for his time to.
It's like no one around Dallas is going to notice a Bob Stoops statue with no tarp. Just like, like this isn't going to stick out like a sore thumb. So we knew what Bob's looked like.
Yeah.
But,
we all knew what Bob's was going to look like too. We all knew it was going to be that pose of him looking onto the field like it always has.
Is Baker going to be? Is Baker's the planting of the flag? No, it's not going to be
the Heisman.
It's not going to be a meme thing or whatever that you want.
That'd be fantastic, but
like the early days of like OU internet, it was just like, is Sam going to be flipped upside? No, Sam's not going to be flipped upside down. They're not going to do that. Like as cool as you think it would be, they're not going to do that.
Here's the real question: will it look like Baker? That's the real question.
I mean, I would hope so. I mean, they could get those Chinese knockoffs that Texas got about 10 years ago. That looked like something out of McDonald's, a racist McDonald's play place. I mean, they could go for those.
Or they get inside the stadium, the ones that were like the plaques that, those are a little rough.
Yeah, I will never forget Texas like getting those like carbon copy, like Chinese bootleg, racist looking. That is like the greatest faux pas that university, in my opinion, has ever done, and I will never let them forget that. It was so bad on so many levels that they wanted to honor everyone that they could, and they said, "How can we do this for cheap? So let's get these carbon copy."
It looked like the old things you would put like in a foosball like machine, or it was like the old like play figures.
Like it was so bad that some of the statues looked like they were in blackface.
Yeah. Oh, and they were already like breaking apart by the time they made it. Like
it was just awful.
And everything. Yeah.
So, and it's just whoever did that, I hope got fired. I don't know who's responsible for that.
But all right, guys, we need to get some statues.
Those things went up and they stayed up for a while, and it's been 12 years, man. It was like, my God, someone okayed that. Someone looked at that and said, "This is fine. It's the dog in the coffee shop. This is fine." Fire all around them.
If we do this, it will distract from the fires in the background, guys. It's good. We're good. We're good.
No, yeah, it was horrendous. But no, Baker's will be. Eggers will be. It'll be cool. We'll get to hear him talk, and
I think it's going to be him in the Heisman pose. If we're really being honest, that's his most iconic one from it.
I don't know. It'll be a drop back thing or whatever or something. I don't think it'll be too like a Heisman pose. I mean, you could do that for everyone, I guess, in a sense, but
yeah, but he has that photograph of him actually blocking defenders from that. So it's not like it's out of that.
They're going to have. He's going to have the football up or whatever, or something like that. It's going to be one of those.
Yeah.
It ain't going to be no pose.
But he is going to be there, though. I am with you. I thought they were going to roll it in. I guess my question for you, Sean.
It'd be pretty heavy, but still.
I mean, he's going to drag it in himself and show the statue off, and then he's going to drag it out. I mean, that's what
he's recovered
from. Terms.
He's recovered from shoulder surgery.
Exactly. He needs some physical therapy anyway. So, so what are you expecting then from the spring game at this point? Because we know about the statue.
We still got a couple weeks of practice left, so I don't know. Like, I mean, people want to see what Dillon Gabriel looks like, and I know you've helmet. That's one thing. Again,
I'm not see that people already believe he's not going to be QB1, that he's going to be QB2. I'm like,
who's they? Who is they?
A lot of Twitter people. Just if you hype it in,
are they stupid? Like, who's they? Like what Twitter people?
Yeah, go search for them anywhere. Just pipe in like.
Are they OU fans? Are they just
they are
random people?
I think they are.
They're stupid. You're an idiot. Like you're a fucking moron if you think Dillon Gabriel isn't quarterback one. Because I got some news for you right now. There ain't no QB 2, 3, or 4 right now. Everyone behind him is not even close. If you think Ralph Rucker is going to beat him out, go. Nick Evers. I'm sorry. I like the kid. He is a true freshman who is just. He has got. For everything I hear is that the dude has a little bit of talent, but he is not ready for prime time.
Yeah.
He is not Caleb. He is not Caleb. He is not Caleb Williams good for true freshmen. So there's a reason Jeff Lebby, when asked, he is our starting quarterback. Not because they want to get ahead of the curve and just name a guy. He's it. So can Nick Evers get better over the year through practices and stuff? Sure. Yeah. And I guarantee you that I hope that they're hoping they can blow out UTEP and Kent State to get Nick some reps, because I think Nick is going to be QB2 more than likely. But if Dillon gets any serious legitimate injury, this team's in big trouble.
Correct. We'll be like Clemson, where we have the defense, won't have the offense.
I mean, we might have the defense. I'm not going to sit here and tell you it's going to be great. There's a lot of potential, but man, if you better hope Dillon Gabriel don't get hurt. You better hope.
Yeah.
If we had to play a game tomorrow, it's Dillon Gabriel and that's it. So if you really think that, like, Dillon sucks because you watched some clips of him in UCF like a year ago and you think he sucks. I mean, Sean,
I heard you have eligibility. I mean, if Dillon goes down, let's suit you up.
I'm going to tell you the same thing I told some fellow guys in the Army I was with when 9/11 happened, and every one of us are barking and cheering, thinking about we're going to war and everything, and the drill sergeant comes out and he says, "Everyone, shut the hell up." He didn't say hell. He's like, "Let me tell you all something right now. If we got to send you right now for what's about to go down, we in trouble." So
that's mean, but
it's true though.
Something you mentioned on the spring game, and something that actually caught me by surprise, and what I mentioned from the fan aspect, because with the players coming in, you got some of the NFL talent, you got the spring game in the afternoon. There's not really a whole lot of hype for it outside of Venables, because they're not even doing the spring sale this year. Like, that's done. And I think they're done.
The spring sale, you mean like for like merch and stuff or whatever?
Yeah, that was a big draw where you could go get actual game used jerseys, get some of the shoes. That's done. They're not doing it this year. And I think it's done because I think people were lining up 9 to 10 hours to days before. And I think it's just like the Bradford autographs, where if we're cutting this off right now, we're not going to do it anymore.
I mean,
we'll have to wait till next year, but
I mean, that's not a concern for me, obviously, but I mean, I don't know.
There's a high resale value with a lot of that stuff.
I'm sure it's just that, Brent's like, listen, like, Brent like spent this past Friday. He's hype it up. He really went like he's really trying to go all out. And I don't know. We'll see what happens a week from Saturday. I think if you can get anywhere close to 60, 70, that's a win.
Oh, yeah, that'd be the highest attended spring game ever. That would be out the Sugar Bowl.
It's not going to be like the highest attended spring game in the country, blah, blah, or whatever, but we can do better than 22,000. Jeez.
Well, we always average at our spring games about 40,000. I mean, that's usually
so I'm not worried about that. But if you can, you're going to have the people who are going to show up, but there's going to be seats they don't want to sit in, or it's not their seats or whatever, little things like that. So it's if you've ever been to a football game, there's always certain sections that you don't want to sit in where you can't see the action very well. If you're too low in the corner, people hate those seats. If you're on the sideline, if you're not high enough, you can't see. Everyone's going to have those, but like, I think they can get enough people in there for Baker and all that stuff. I think it'll be fun. So,
and that's something too to think about. And that's how I told a buddy of mine was, if you want to go to the spring game, it's cheap enough to go experience kind of sort of what an OU game would be real life, and go enjoy the suites, pay a little bit more, go enjoy those. They're not going to open up the upper decks or anything like that.
They
are, because my understanding was they're not. That they're trying to pack without opening up.
If you're trying to pack this, like that, no, that turnip seed said they're going to open up. If you're trying to pack this place, you're opening up the upper deck. And if they don't, that means if they don't do it, it means they don't have a good pre-sale or whatever. But the goal is to have the upper deck open, so make sure there's plenty of water for like that. That's what Thad said a week or so ago with Gabe and Teddy, anyways. So
because my understanding was like they're opening it up everything, and then except for the upper deck, because they don't want to clean the upper decks like they usually don't want to. It's
the one time they would have to do it in the off season outside of like any other special event that they wouldn't normally like. So what? It's like
that's my understanding, but that's why to me that they were opening up.
I don't want to clean the upper deck.
That's why they always did. Even when you and I were there, they never opened up the upper deck, and even then, they would even cut off some of the bowls so they didn't have people on that side.
Their deck, like, because they don't want to pay. They don't want to pay people extra to do it or whatever.
I mean,
why don't people want
times
to work?
Are tough.
Why don't people want to work? I don't know. Maybe if you paid them.
Oh
actual decent wage.
Exactly.
People don't want to work at Taco Bell. I wonder why.
Because that minimum wage does not pay for that taco. What are you actually expecting though from the game though? Like who are your players that you actually want to kind of see?
I mean, God, this is like a new regime, so it all depends how they want to set it up. I mean, I assume it's going to be like red versus white regular score, because I know coaches like to get cute with point systems, and we're going to score points for sacks or interceptions or whatever. So, I want to see the offense look a little more consistent if possible. I want to see how Dylan Gabriel matches up with the current crop of wide receivers. I want to see how Theo Weiss looks and Farouk. The offensive line, I want to see how well they can block. I know Andrew Rame's been kind of like nicked up this spring, so he hasn't been able to do much. So it's just, you want to keep an eye on that. Some of the transfers, there's a lot of good buzz on some of the portal guys we got, like Kenai Walker, like the guy from Louisville, rave reviews right now. Jeffrey Johnson, the Tulane D tackle they gave us hell last year. He's putting an emphasis on having a big year, because he wants to, he's trying to get attention to the NFL scouts. And if he does it at OU, he'll get their attention. So you're hearing good things from him. There's a lot of buzz on Javonte Barnes, man. Running back.
Yeah, there is.
Javonte Barnes, like there's some people who think that by the end of the season he is going to be your star running back for this team, and that's not dissing Eric Gray or Marcus Major or anybody. It's just that he's good, we kept him because of DeMarco.
Yeah.
Like normally we could lose a guy like that easily with all the chaos we had, but it's like as long as DeMarco Murray is running backs coach for Oklahoma, I'm going to Oklahoma. So I was like, okay. And he's a Vegas guy. He could easily. It's a lot quicker trip to go to LA than it is in Norman. He could have played that card. He didn't do it. So
the ones I keep hearing is Javonte Barnes, as you said. Dylan, I've heard very consistent things because obviously he's
a little streaky from what I understand. He can have some moments of greatness and not so much, but he is who he. I think Dylan Gabriel is who he is at this point.
Yeah.
We do, in theory, if we could have him for 3 seasons. We're not
you think
have...
even 3? I think
no. I'm not saying he will. The availability is there, is what I'm saying.
Oh, gotcha. Like, okay.
I think we might get him for 2, depending on how things go, because Jackson Arnold is the like Aggies are going hard. They're trying to flip his ass. Like they really want to get him. So open a checkbook for Jackson Arnold.
You mentioned another player. What's his name? Farouk. He is getting a lot of love from.
Oh yeah, he showed a lot of potential in the bowl game, which I put like 5% stock in because those bowl games are something. But even so, it's like we need all of our potential wide receivers to step up, like guys who have potential, because I'm not saying we're super thin, but you need Theo Weiss, you need Farouk. Marvin Mims needs to take I think Marvin Mims is making an emphasis to take another big step this year.
Yeah.
Gibson kid, the true freshman from Florida, has a lot of potential to be great. So I think he can make an impact early.
Is that West you're thinking of, or
no? I'm talking about Jane Gibson, the true freshman, the 6'5" wide receiver. So I'm talking about.
Oh, gotcha. Yeah.
Florida.
Here, so then, as you mentioned and stuff too, with the 4 wide receivers from it. If there's another thing that's come,
don't forget about Drake. Drake's still here.
Yeah, Drake is here. He's a senior, and
Drake is here for his 19th year of eligibility.
Shh, don't say that out loud. That's something too, as they said, he is definitely the linchpin in being one of the leaders on the field. But it's something you also brought up as well, is something I also keep on hearing about the spring game or the spring practices with the wide receivers. They feel more confident in their abilities right now that they're emerging as leaders, because they feel like the training under Venables is much more streamlined to them and much more. I don't think cater's the right word, but they feel it's more organized versus what was under Riley with it. And I think that's
what it is also, and it's just there's this giant weight lifted out of all the guys who have been there and are still here. There's this giant weight lifted off of everybody's shoulders.
Yeah,
because maybe as on the outside, we was like, "What's wrong with the program?" Everyone on the inside knew something was up. Something felt off. Like I'm sure they felt it even more so.
Yeah.
And it's just, you have that comfort, at least, that you're in that honeymoon period where it's like, we have a new coaching staff. There's a lot more positive vibe around the program. Doesn't mean you're going to win a national title this year, but there's just a different energy and a different vibe. And you feel like this team, this program can finally start making some positive moves in the right direction. And there will be some growing pains. Like I worry about this offensive line. Like some guys have to hit or take the next step.
Yeah.
Like whether it's Wanya Morris apparently talked about having a come to Jesus moment, conversation with his mother, trying to figure out who is Wanya Morris going to be. I'm paraphrasing, but no,
but you're not wrong though. I mean,
there's a lot of things that. Yeah, but like last year, we expected a lot from those Tennessee transfers. Eric Gray was one of them. I mean, Key Lawrence was the one guy who really shined last year, who really found a spot.
Yeah.
Whenever they did play him at whatever position, Key Lawrence was starting to make plays late in the year, and Gray I think can do that. But Wanya Morris is that other guy, and I think they need guys to emerge at tackle, whether it's Wanya or Savion Bird or whomever. And so that they got to, in like the Cade Matauer kid, who is he the Cal transfer, or did he come from somewhere else?
Which person?
One of the Matauer. I'm gonna butcher his name, but the point of the matter is, someone call me. No, the point of the matter is that you hear some good things, but about the offensive line and like if Rain gets healthy, then I think we'll be even better. But defensively, the D line, you don't lose all that talent and get better. No. I think you can. I don't say maintain because that's being presumptuous, but there's a lot of guys like Jordan Kelly again on his 19th year of eligibility. There's a lot of good things being said about him from Venables.
Well, and again, there's only so much stock we can take from it because they're always going to hype up this is the best team since sliced bread.
Here's the thing. I'm willing to give him the benefit of the doubt when hyping up guys because it's year one. Once we know, once you know a coach's time, once you can tell, because it's hard to tell. I'm not saying you can't tell when a head coach is bullshitting you, but it's hard to do it when you don't have a full season to back up or to reinforce certain things. So I'm going to give him the benefit of the doubt for now. Now, if he comes out and says we're going to win Natty, it's like, okay, shut up. He's not saying that.
That would not be Brent.
No, but when he's saying this guy is doing well, this guy, I mean, Bob would have guys like that or he would talk about certain guys that I really loved, and I believed him. Like, and when he hyped up Brody Eldridge, he loved him some Brody Eldridge because he could block. Right. And the transfer from Missouri, everyone's loving on him because that man loves to block. He loves to go out and hit people. So Daniel Parker is what I'm talking about. So Daniel Parker's getting a lot of hype as a guy. It's like, if you love guys getting out the edge and blocking and hitting people, well, you are going to be in love. You are going to fall in golf, Tiger Woods, husband, no waifu love with Daniel Parker Jr. So it's all these little things. Like the key word is physical. It feels like it's going to be a much more physical football team. I mean, you go to the linebackers, there's like Danny Stutzman feels like a guy who's going to be good. There's a lot of love for TD Roof early because, let's face it, his dad's coaching and he kind of knows the system. So it's a lot easier transition for him. So a guy like Deshaun White still learning. Who am I missing? The Jaron Kanik is going to be a stud at some point.
I mean, he wanted to play for Venables and he's here. Like, he's going to be an impact player day one immediately.
Well, at least probably on special teams more than likely. It'll be interesting to see how they divide up playing time when they feel that they want to play freshmen, when they don't want to play freshmen. I mean, Stutzman was a freshman. He got some playing time this past year, which, I mean, when he was on the field, Stutzman, I'm excited for year two of Stutzman.
Oh, me too. I'm honestly like, the only position that worries me still is quarterback, just because there's a lot
corner
of quarter QB. Oh. I'm a little unsure just because I'm with everybody. Let's see what he has, but Dylan does have the talent around him. But maybe it's just me. And feel free to correct me, Sean. Feel free to correct me, people watching. The players even seem more excited and happier this go around with it. And
it's like I said, I don't think
it's hard to describe.
I don't think it's quarterback. It's just everything around them is different, and you don't have the weight of, you don't have all this weird like kind of atmosphere or this tension with like, what's going on? Why is Riley doing this or why is he doing that? You don't have that right now. It's a brand new world. There's some familiarity there too. A lot of the offensive staff is still there that works, that wants to be there. And it's just, I'm looking forward to seeing what this team looks like in September. So if they could pass some early tests, it could be a very solid and fun year. If they stumble a little bit early and, it turns into like a 9-3 or, heaven forbid, an 8-4 season, it's going to suck. And everyone's like, okay, it didn't work out the way we wanted to. What do we got to do? But I think they can pass some of those early tests.
I do too.
Like Nebraska is going to be tough, but just the way things are right now, just going on the road, but if you can find if the easiest way to win over this fan base, if you win that game in October, and you know which one I'm talking about, if you find a way to win that game, I don't care how good or bad Texas is being perceived. They always get the shonen jump power creep over the offseason. It happens every year. They always find a way to hype them up just a little bit more than they deserve to. It always happens. Quinn Ewers is going to be the greatest quarterback that's ever lived, who has never taken a snap. So It's going to happen.
I'm actually gonna. Well, the Texas game, just in general, it's been as you and I have discussed this in length of it. It's been 7 points every year for almost.
And
10
I
years.
expect nothing different.
I would actually say, Sean, it's not going to be Texas that people are going to start looking at OU in the sense of things are on the right track. It won't be that. Yes, we want to win that game. I say it's going to be Kansas State because we haven't beaten Kansas State at home in almost, 6 years. It has been a moment since we've beaten Kansas State at home.
I mean, yeah, K-State's at home. It'd be nice to beat Kansas State, and plus you have the connection with Brent, so that's always interesting as well. Like I said, a lot of our big games, conference-wise, are at home. Kansas State's at home. Oklahoma State's at home. I know Iowa State's on the road on a Thursday, which is
we couldn't avoid that. That's one of those. And I want to come back to that here in just a second.
We played them on a Thursday, like in 16, if I recall.
Yeah. Well, and it's because OU has dug their heels in, and they said we're not playing night
Friday.
Game. We're not going to do that because we have classes, and that's where they do exert their weight on that. And unfortunately, that means it's going to be a Baylor.
You're going to be on the road then. Ha ha ha.
Yep. Yep. So I mean, that's going to be part of that. I do want to mention, I did see this in our chat, Sean, and with all due respect, OU fans do know how SEC fans are. We know it. This is not anything of a secret.
I know how SEC fans are. Like some of
them,
the problem with quote unquote SEC fans is they refer to themselves as SEC fans and they don't identify themselves as their own school. See, if you're an Alabama fan and want to do that, all right, I guess. But if you're like South Carolina or Arkansas and you do that crap, it means like you're not doing anything special, and you grab onto the logo to make yourself feel better. We accomplished something. Look what we did. You didn't do shit.
Yeah, Kentucky, Vanderbilt.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to like the day that happens and whenever we join, and hopefully the first domino fell this past week.
Absolutely. And I just want to add it, just like we've ever been to an Auburn game. Yeah, we've played them in the Sugar Bowl a couple times. It's not anything different. We played Alabama.
Yeah, Auburn fans were definitely playing the role of like they were like. The only thing that didn't happen was Jesus dropping down and saying, "He who has not sinned, cast the first stone."
Yeah, I'm sorry. I will always say
screaming at Joe Mixon and screaming at Joe Mixon.
We have experience with SEC. This isn't really anything new. I can tell you right now.
That was a very eventful week.
Yeah, I'm just saying, going to the Sugar Bowl in 2014 for that one, we had aggressive Alabama fans. Who
could forget the Alabama mom who died, man? Like she got
came
so
in like
mad.
a wrecking ball.
Oh, she had a couple cocktails that night for certain.
A couple, just a 10 or 12,
She had a few cocktails that night.
But I mean, we're also used to the screaming at Tennessee. Like this isn't anything new. Like we've been in more aggressive.
Breaking their hearts in 15 was great. It was a great thing.
Yeah, we played them there. It's anything different. Like we've been to Alabama, we've been to Auburn, we've been to Tennessee. There's no stadium we're scared of. Anyway, but I mean, you brought it up though. You did bring it up though.
That Sean, Vanderbilt game is just gonna be hell, man. Like, God.
I know, right? Kentucky, man. I'm just saying, Kentucky.
Oh, but Kentucky, my God.
Kentucky. Florida, you can actually attend that one. If you want to drive up, 6 hours, 7 hours to Gainesville?
I mean, I'm going to go to a game whenever if I'm still living here, I'll drive up to Gainesville. It'll happen.
Yeah, I believe you. Here's my question. Now, you mentioned it, and I did want to bring it up. It's the unfortunate time of fantasy football of picking the games with the times. How many games are we expecting at 11 a.m.?
Oh, you're talking about like the networks. Well, that's something I'm going to talk about with Eric at some point. He knows the right people to talk to when it comes to that. We all know when the Nebraska game is going to be on for this year. It's going to be at night on ABC with Fowler and Herbstreit. Like Nebraska will get a nice little night game.
Speaking of that, now unlike getting Nebraska at night, Texas and Alabama at a noon kickoff. They just wanted to play Alabama at night.
Oh well, I don't know if that's official yet, but I mean, if Fox has a legit pick for that, then yeah, that you'll see Texas and Bama play at noon, big noon kickoff. There should be some unhappy people in that one for sure. Ooh, that'll be fun. I mean, Texas will get their heads kicked in, just like they'll get murder, death killed. Like if Quinn Ewers is your starting quarterback, but that's okay. Quinn will lead them victory, of course, because he's so. I have heard not once but twice that Quinn Ewers is like not ready for prime time as well.
Yeah.
So listen, and again, it's spring. A lot can happen. It doesn't mean he's going to suck in October. What it means is right now he hasn't played a legitimate snap of football in a while. Like he hasn't played since his junior year of high school. So yeah. He did the whole early enroll thing at Ohio State and then transferred to Texas. And then it's like, I people think we have quarterback problems. Like, I'm happy we got Dylan Gabriel, because if we didn't have Dylan Gabriel, we'd be where Texas is right now, in a sense. A true literally a true freshman starting. Because no matter how you try to spin it, Kuno's going to be great. He might be great eventually. If you hoping he's going to be good year one, he's going to lead you out to victory. It's like, man, I was like, I know Texas got like 7 big-time offensive linemen. You're going to need all 7 of them. You might have to play all 7 of them. Have a 7 offensive line front with only like 3. You only have 3 skilled position players to work with for the quarterback to play. So
right.
Just have 3 wide receivers, empty set, 7 blocking for him. That's all you can do.
Chuck and pray.
Just hope they bubble screen. Just do what you can.
But what games do you expect for us to be on at 11 a.m. at this point?
I have no idea, because I don't know what draft order is what. So OU Texas is going to be an 11 a.m. kick. So there's that. It's always going to be that. That game is nowhere close to being big enough. Like the build up for any preseason. Listen, it'll be a good game, but like. No one's expecting a top 5 matchup for you in Texas and God knows how long. Like it needs to be, I don't know. Texas has to prove they can be good again for it to be a top 5 matchup leading into it. So now if they beat Alabama, that would change things. No grown up in the world thinks they're going to beat Alabama. Texas fans.
No, they will not. So, we got someone in. What's up, the Baker? How are you, buddy?
Just chilling, watching.
Nice to see you on. I see you on Sean's stream all the time. So nice to see you.
Yeah.
Excuse me.
So we have OU Texas, obviously 11 a.m. Nebraska's going to be at night. I actually think Kansas State's going to be an 11 a.m. kick.
Yeah.
I mean, just assume they're all 11 a.m. kicks. That's all you got to do.
That's my thought. Yeah, I mean, might as well. We're just going to get all the 11 a.m. kicks unless it's a playoff game at this point.
Listen, we're not in the SEC yet, so we're going to – I think we should just play at 11 a.m. every week. We should request it. Play reverse psychology and see what happens.
I get to miss every game.
You get upset, but we love 11 a.m. kickoffs. You're not –
Exactly.
Dang it. And then, it spreads. Why do they want to play at 11 a.m.? Who's coming in to visit? What do they know? Is someone coming in for a visit? And what's that 11 a.m. time slot? Damn it! And just see if everyone else tries to fight for it or whatever, and tries to use back channels to get it. Just embrace it. Just embrace it like Fox does, and pretend it's a good thing. It's we want it.
Speaking of visits, my brother talked to T.A. Cunningham the other day. He said he loves Oklahoma.
Yeah, a lot of guys like Oklahoma, but it's and obviously he's a top tier 5-star 20 was he 20 is he 24 or 23? I forgot.
Yeah,
he's 24.
Yeah, he's 24. So again, that's a
long
way away
I told you about him before you figured it out.
I mean, I believe you. It's just 24 is a long ways away. It is a long ways away. So.
Yeah,
there's a lot of that can be thrown.
I told you him and my brother go to state high school, right?
Yeah, I remember you always talk about a bunch of guys when you come on. So yeah. That's the guy. it's just like it's all those guys. Anyone who's that top tier is going to be a long fight. It's going to be a long battle,
But
especially
here's for the local high school. He has a brand new football. So his high school coach got fired last year. So he has a brand new football coach this year. And the new football coach was a DC from Milton who coached LT Overton.
Yeah, we all know how that turned out.
Couldn't
even get a visit from LT this spring, but whatever.
The original, I know for a fact, the original plan was for LT and TA Cunningham to be a package deal and go to Oklahoma together. That was the original plan.
As we all learned, plans have changed. So
with that money, make it rain. Plans change, and I agree. It's definitely good that he still has an interest this early on, but gosh, so much changes in about a year or 2 years. I mean, there's no telling what else. There could be a team that emerges.
I'm focusing on Anthony Hill and David Hicks right now. Those are the guys I'm focusing on.
If anything, he said that Oklahoma's defensive staff so far the best defensive staff he talked to so far.
So, better be the best defensive staff.
I mean, yeah, with Brent and Todd, and those guys are gonna hopefully reel in some big fish at some point. We're still waiting, but it's like 3 months on the job, so I'm not worried about I want to see what the buzz is after the spring game in a week from Saturday. Yeah. So it's gonna be a big recruiting weekend, and hopefully, if Brent gets commitments, it means they're allegedly shutting down their commit. They're not taking trips or they're not doing anything. So like a commitment to OU now, whether, depending on how you look at it, I know some people don't like the idea of like Brent not taking commitments unless guys shut down their recruitment. But what it does mean is like if someone like verbally commits to OU, it's a pretty strong commit because they're shutting everything down. It doesn't mean they're not going to reopen it back up at some point and decommit and then go look at other things. But if they're doing it, it means they're ready to shut things down and say, I'm going to play for Brent Venables. I'm going to play for Todd Bates, or I'm going to play for, Ted Roof or Brandon Hall or DeMarco Murray, so on and so on and so on. So if anyone commits to Oklahoma, it's a pretty strong verbal commitment at this point.
Especially with the
defense. It's a solid verbal, if you would.
Yeah. And that's just how Venables runs for that, as you said.
Because does it like when they had that same rule?
Which one?
The once you commit, you can't take visits. Does it, Mike, when they had that same rule?
Probably, but we see how that's worked out for Mike Gundy.
He lost the guy.
Yeah.
Gundy's mentality is, I'm not going to bother with 5 stars because they're not coming here. And I don't blame him. I don't blame him for having that mentality. It's like he's like, I'm not going to waste my effort. Gundy's like, look, I'm gonna go after guys I know I can get, and he's gotten a few quality players that Oklahoma missed out on, whether it's in state or not. Look, he's gotten some really good, high quality football players that have given us help. So
yeah, but man, that I understand that mentality.
Like Oklahoma State can't be a top 10 program with that mentality. They're not going to win Big 12 championships, but they can be a top 10 program once in a while.
Like Oklahoma, even Clemson, even Baylor has that pedigree and history to have that rule. Oklahoma State doesn't have that pedigree or history to have that type of rule in.
You're right on that. Now, keep in mind though, they're also competing against OU, Texas, and pretty much Alabama and Texas A&M in this area for it. I get that with Oklahoma State and Gundy not wanting to do that, but at the same time, I also look at it as Gundy's the highest paid coach in the conference. At what point is it that he's not pulling his weight at that point?
I'm still, like I said, I told Sean this last year. I'm still shocked. I'm shocked he's still there.
I am too. I'll be up front. I am very shocked that he's still there, considering the results to me on the field has not matched his paycheck. That's me.
Because even my mom, who's a raised in Tulsa, diehard Oklahoma Surface, said that they just can't win. Every time Oklahoma State has a chance to win something big, whether it be in softball, basketball, what sport, they always come up short.
I have family who are Oklahoma State fans, and I have coworkers who are Oklahoma State, at least concerning football, and they kind of said they respect what Gundy has done at Oklahoma State, but they are ready to get a new coach just to inject some new blood into
Who are
and
they
new
getting?
life into it. That's a question, and I've
Who are
asked
they gonna
who
get?
you have.
I mean,
Nobody.
you're gonna hire someone, obviously, but it's like
First
you're.
of all, any day is a Power 5 job. Whether you like it or not, it's a Power 5 job. Someone's going to take it.
Absolutely. Someone will take it unless they're in danger of not being in a conference at this point, which, I mean, that was on the table, which, Sean, I wanted to ask you that as well while it's on my mind. So you mentioned in one of your videos that it looks like maybe ideally 2024 is now the SEC thing with that. What's going on with that with it? Do you think we're going to be 1 year in the Big 12 still, or with Bowlsby leaving, do you think that we're going to try to speed that process up?
Well, I mean, you got to remember one thing: Bowlsby is not the end all be all. Like when it comes to these decisions, he makes decisions, or he does things on behest of the university presidents, the ADs. So they're trying to have someone replace him fairly soon, within
90 days.
90 days. So now, like, everyone's got a price. Everyone has a bottom dollar. So, like, if they didn't have the new teams coming in, I'd understand they want to milk every nickel and dime out of like Oklahoma, Texas being here. It's not good for everybody to keep them held hostage. Like, if you want to keep us until 25, sure, go for it, dude. But realistically, just the way things are aligning right now, like 24 is kind of when new contracts pop up for when the SEC becomes full, goes completely under the ESPN Disney umbrella. So 24 is the year that happens. So the pipe dream of playing like on CBS for 1 year, I think, is kind of like slowly fading away for that to happen. Now, I do think there is an outside chance for 23 because, no one's been in a conference longer as a lame dunk member for more than 1 year. But, things change. There's always a first time for everything. I mean, there's a first time for a head coach to leave a blue blood program for another blue blood program. The first time for everything. It happened twice this past year. Actually, not even. Yeah. So I just think 24 tends to make sense, just the way things align up contractually and everything. So I don't have anything that says this is guaranteed to happen. It just makes sense if you just like look at a calendar and everything lines up that way. So I believe ESPN, it would do everything in their power to, like, when we get the SEC in 24, we would like to have all 16 members on board officially.
Yeah.
I think that makes sense to me. So whether that's they're going to do something with the Longhorn Network money and use that to pay out, or they're going to do some sort of backroom deals, but the problem for Bowlsby is that Bowlsby made the conference look bad. He acted like a petulant child. He said some things. He was like, he literally got on the phone with, like, what was it, Dennis Dodd or somebody, or I forgot who it was. Just like he was like the scorned teenage girl who got dumped for her prom date, dumped her like the night before.
Yeah.
Had her dress all picked out and everything. The limo was rented, but he's going to go with the head cheerleader instead of her. And just instead of having like a, talking on Snapchat or whatever, just, it got public. So it was a bad breakup. And
the thing is, he was grifting this entire time. Like, he acts like he was doing stuff for the conference, and he wasn't at all. He was never been that for us.
Because of this. So my to put it in perspective, my uncle works for the Memphis Tigers basketball football program. Mm-hmm. At the time, Memphis player request joined the Big 12, and they should have got in. They offered FedEx as a sponsor for the Big 12 game, basketball and football.
But they got that sweet Dr. Pepper money, though. It makes the world taste. It makes the world taste better.
FedEx has more money than Dr. Pepper.
Yeah,
and you get those wonderful commercials.
You get the Fansville commercial, man. Come on now.
Exactly.
That's what's important.
But I don't see why they don't take Memphis. Like, they're great at basketball.
I mean, I know why. I know why they like nobody wanted to they wanted to.
But yeah,
they didn't want to. Like David Bourne wanted to expand. The rest of the league didn't want to. Like, listen,
Texas wanted to expand. Yeah, let's be honest. It was Texas, OU, and in the second go around, it was Texas Tech.
Yeah,
they
Tech
were ready.
Nobody wanted to. Well, no, what's sad for the Big 12? I think at the Big 12, like, if they could get a decent TV contract with like all the teams they're adding, like, it's gonna be a fun basketball conference still.
Oh,
but it's like basketball. All due respect, doesn't bring in the money that football does.
But for the basketball team, imagine having Penny Hardaway, Bill Self, Calvin Sampson in the same conference.
Yeah, but that's always temporary. So I think Penny Hardaway's not long for this world.
He'll be in Memphis for life. I'll see.
But he's the Gundy of Memphis.
No, the crazy thing is, like, the later down the road you get for like the SEC. And like schools might be like the way the TV money's going in, schools are going to get really close to raking in like $100 million each.
Oh, sure.
That's how nuts it's going to get. And you're going to sit here and tell me that's not going to work out great if you're OU. Like, so you're like, oh no, we're missing out on our Longhorn Network money. Like, don't worry, you're fine. You'll make up for it with this new contract. And the Big Ten too. Big Ten is going to be like, it's going to be two like people say it's going to be a power. No, it's going to be a power 2 when it comes to money. When it comes to money, it's going to be 2 leagues.
And the reason I say that because that was on Twitter where some people were like, "So you're just leaving for the money and you just want to see the jerseys play?" Yeah, that's actually why I want to go see us play Alabama. I want to go see us play Auburn. Like, I could give 2 craps about us playing Kansas or Oklahoma State.
But I mean, the Pac-12 will survive based on geography.
Yeah, you are absolutely right.
If the Pac-12 was just in the Midwest somewhere, they'd be dead. Yeah. But there needs to be a power West Coast conference on some level. Now, how they figure shit out and like, you know, now look, the smart USC wouldn't got Lincoln Riley. As much as we hate the bastard, that was a smart move by USC. Oregon's got Dan Lanning, to be determined how he's going to be as a head coach, but we know the man. I know the man can recruit because everyone as a recruiter, we know he can recruit. You know, Kyle Whittingham's going to be at Utah for the rest of his life. UCLA is still trying to figure out if they're a basketball school again or if they're a football school. Stanford is done. I think the David Shaw era is like long past due for being like, you know, I used to be a huge fan of David Shaw, but like
he fell off, man.
It ain't working no more.
Well,
it ain't working no more. So,
yeah,
but they need to figure that out quick. Like,
did you mention Utah?
Yeah, I said Kyle Whittingham's gonna be at Utah for the rest of his life.
Yeah, you're right. Yeah.
So,
they're still going. I think Utah can still, no matter how good Ricky Lowry recruits. I said once more until he proves him wrong. I keep saying you have a physical football team like Utah. You can beat a Lincoln Riley team.
Oh yeah, if you got a physical, yeah, of course you can beat up a Riley defense. Yeah. USC
rush 3 draw 7.
Well, USC is getting some shonen power creep in the offseason. They're projected USC, like they're getting projected to go to the Rose Bowl. I was like, that's news to me. Do they get tickets to the game? They get like a package deal. That's fantastic.
Are they going just for fun?
Yeah. I mean, it's just down the road, Pasadena. You know, get some In and Out. There's that In and Out burger that's right on the corner before you head to the road to the Rose Bowl. It's right there. I've been to that In and Out. It's great burgers. You know, make sure you order ahead on the app. Whatever you got to do. But
that's that would be my next question, Sean. Is
Oklahoma and USC got to play in a bowl game? No, they don't.
Not yet, because it's.
I don't want to play. I don't want to play in the Holiday Bowl. It's like what? I have higher aspirations.
Playoffs. Here's my question for both of y'all with Bowlsby exiting. I will be upfront. I am very surprised he's exiting this year.
I was thinking. I'm not surprised.
Really? Because I thought it would be by.
Sean,
are you surprised?
Sean.
I think the timing of it being right now, in a sense, is a little surprising. But I thought, like you don't lose OU in Texas and keep your job.
Right. I'm saying right now. I was waiting when, like, well, Baker, you had a question for Sean.
I said so. So you're the person that he said he stepped down, but
he got fired. Anyone who says
he got fired.
He got
the
fired.
president behind it, the president, like, you know, just like,
His ass got fired.
Yeah. Well, and
I'm going to step down. The hell you are.
Who's it going to replace him?
I have no idea.
Right now, they're saying Oliver Luck, and that's been in works for months now, saying it's going to be him. Huh?
What they got to do.
David ain't going to do that.
Whatever the Big 12 has to do. Because if Eric was here, I would pick his brain more on this.
Hit on it first.
Well, no, like what? And the old people, my dad's generation, and so forth, are maybe they're slowly figuring it out. But like streaming's the future. You have got to get a good streaming deal.
I heard you brought Amazon Prime the last year. That was official 40. They brought Amazon Prime the potential Big 12.
Whatever you get on, it has to be something that's accessible, that's easy for people to get to.
That are my dad's age.
Yeah.
With all due respect, Dad, I know you're probably watching my live stream like you always do. Hi, Dad.
But I mean,
like, yes.
Well, I mean, the problem with the Big 12 is because everyone was playing by their own rules. OU, Texas, like the old Big 12, OU, Texas, Texas A&M, they all wanted their own deals. It wasn't a unified front for stuff. So when you're in the SEC, everyone's going to be on one page. They have their own network. We're all going to be on ESPN. So if you want to access any type of sports, whether it's football, basketball, it's all going to be in one general area. So for all the college sports fans, you have access to that. For the Big 10, they're kind of married to Fox. So, whatever streaming deals they're going to figure out, they got to get that figured out as well for the Big 10 network and whatnot. But streaming's the future. The only thing keeping cable companies afloat right now is live events. Like sports. Sports are the one thing. That's the only reason you need to have a cable package is for me is like football season.
Or if you're in Oklahoma for storm chasing season, because that's part of the deal. April, May.
I mean,
this tornado is sponsored to you by Jason White's air conditioners.
Right.
U.S. tracking. I'm sorry.
But no, I haven't watched like regular TV. The only regular TV I watch is like AEW wrestling. That's about it. And if they can get on like HBO Max, which is I'm hoping for, I'm crossing my fingers, that them and Ring of Honor, that'd be great. But
by the way, hey, speaking of wrestling, side note, my dad did not realize how much of a big wrestling fan. He's like, wow, I did not, when I was watching Sean's videos, it's always cartoons and wrestling with OU football. I'm like, that is perfect.
Yep.
No, AEW brought me back to being a hardcore wrestling fan again. I love it. I got to go to the pay-per-view last month here. It was just literally down the road. It was great. Looking forward to it.
He never realized that. He was just like, I didn't expect that from Sean. I was like, I've always heard him talk about wrestling is just always
to me wrestling is back. I love it. So
yeah.
Anyway, but no, streaming is the future. They need to find a way to get on some sort of format where they can get things going, and it's got to be accessible.
ESPN Plus?
I mean, ESPN Plus is one thing, but I know they got the big. But again, they still have. Everyone's got their own thing still. It's not all unified on one front. So they have to figure something out on when it comes to that. I mean, I don't know BYU's got their own kind of thing.
Yeah, they got that channel. Yeah,
so that's going to be an issue potentially. So whatever you got to do, you got to be on. I mean, the Pac-12 had their own network, but we all know how that's working out because some people it's just a terrible network, garbage, and
I think Scott.
I think the problem with that network is that it was built for that old Pac-16 model that they were going to have initially until Texas A&M kibosh on that, respectively. So I think it was built for that. I think they expect to be in way more households, like regionally, not just West Coast, but I think they expect to be like in the Midwest as well, or the Plain states and the Big 12 states, but didn't work out. So unfortunately, it's not very easily accessible. You have to, if there's a good game on the Pac-12 network, which there's going to be like one USC game late at night one year where they're about to lose to Oregon State, and now everybody's on the OU fan base going to want to watch, and it's on the Pac-12. Someone sent me a pirate link for the Pac. Like everyone's going to watch. Everyone's going to want to watch Caleb throw a pick or something, or Riley get. Everyone's going to want to see that. Everyone's going to watch that. Everyone's like, guys, like send me a link to the Pac-12 network. We're like, it's going to happen because this fan base is going to be. Our fan base is going to be the ex driving past their ex's house at 2 a.m. and just staring at the windows, seeing what's going on in there. That's what we're going to be doing. That's us watching Pac-12 network television at Pac-12 After Dark, like at 2 a.m. on the East Coast.
I told my friends, I'm going to be.
Is that a car? Is that a different? Is that a new? Whose car is that in their driveway?
It's going to be like from The Office. You suck, Toby. Except it's going to be, you suck, Caleb. You suck, Lincoln. Wait, can we do this? Just drive away. Just drive away. It's funny you mentioned that, though, Sean, because they announced about a week ago that the 2023 NFL draft is going to be in Kansas City. And I even told a buddy of mine, I was thinking, why don't we drive up to it if we can get in? Like, that'd be fun just to go.
Do you really want to sit there for the entire, like, for what day are you going?
It'd be the first day, and that would be it.
Okay, so just the first round. Okay, you're going for the first round.
Just experience.
I was like, if you're going for day 2 or 3, oh my god.
No. This will just be the first round, just to experience. Say, yes, I went to an NFL draft. But he was like, you just want to go to boo Roger Goodell, and I said, and just to boo in general. I went, look, if Caleb's there, it's just a happy coincidence that I get to boo. But hey, let's add it all together. But,
I'd like to bring this up. Do y'all saw Georgia lost to a lineman to a portal today?
Yeah, that doesn't matter to me. It's like it happens.
Well, Georgia's decimated now, aren't they, at this point?
No, they're not decimated. They're not decimated. It's just, but they're going to lose some. You're going to lose some. The defense lost some key players. Are going to lose some key players to the draft.
They were like fucking crazy. They'll be fine defense.
Yeah. Well, and that's something to bring up though, Sean, with. The Baker, when you mentioned Memphis, the big thing in my thoughts with why Memphis was not included is Houston has the television market. BYU's BYU. What's her name? Cincinnati was kind of the last of the big helmet brands, if you really want to call it that. And UCF has Florida. Memphis just didn't bring anything to the table. And I have a buddy who lives in Memphis.
For basketball,
like, it is what it is.
I think for basketball, they bring more marketable football, not that much.
Right, except that's what they want. They want the football market, not the basketball. Well, you got Kansas and everybody's still for it.
I really lost the vote. Sills who put out a good product. Ray White was there for like 18 years.
Yeah, to me, they'd be a mid-major that they would add. It's just, it is what it is. Now, back to my...
It's the home of the blues, Elvis, Sunrock Records.
Yeah. Well, and that's kind of my question, though, is why, and that goes back to my original question, I guess, is why Bowlsby was forced out. Now, I know he probably got a buyout at this point, but who's pulling the cards with this point with the why now, why not later? He, as Sean said, he acted very scorned on it. He got blindsided on it, and
he knew he would get fired. He knew he was done for.
Yeah, like we all knew at some point he was going to leave. You don't let OU and Texas, your breadwinners, leave and expect him to have his job still at this point. That was never going to be the case with it. I'm just again surprised.
He was right to be mad. He was right to be mad. OU and Texas did screw them over, but
But he should saw COVID in 2010.
No. They screwed him over, but it's not like there wasn't hints that it could have happened one day. But like it was one of those. What are you going to do about it? You're not going to do anything. It was like, guess what? They did something about it. So
yeah, and he was also caught in a couple lies too. Where he's like, they never notified us. They never told us we weren't going to do the signing the extension. When they're like, yeah, we did actually say we were not going to sign the grant of rights extension and stuff until we saw stuff figure out. And even Holder's a part of that right now. I feel like this is just going to be a long story. That's it is what it is. And then 10 years from now, we're going to see either is the Big 12 going to survive or are they going to crap out? It's going to benefit OU no matter what. I think people don't realize that with the Jet, it's going to vastly benefit us. Texas is going to get a big benefit from it, but it is what it is from it. I was just curious on it because that was kind of just the big news or anything from that. Do you expect? I know this is a while off still. Do you expect any Sooners to actually get first round NFL draft pick?
I mean, there's always an outside shot for Perrion, but I don't. I think he's going to be at this point. He's going to be a high. He's going to be a high second round pick the way things are going right now. Because it's April. I mean, if you don't have an idea by now who's going where, I mean, we're like a couple weeks away from the draft. It's sneaking up on you. So, like, we're gonna have the spring game, and then the next week's the draft.
Yeah.
So that'll be a big deal right there. So, I think the problem for Perrion is that the one thing that's holding him back from being a first round pick, and it's like people are asking where was this last year. And his answer to that is like, "Oh, have you seen the idiot who was running the defense, or who wasn't letting us eat?" That's kind of like that's kind of the explanation.
He has. I think that he's not wrong to say. I'll say that.
Yeah, I mean I don't expect any of our guys to go the first round. I'm still thinking like high second round at this point, but I wasn't sure if there was anything that was updated. I think most of it's going to be the Alabama and Georgia guys.
I mean, Perrion like plays like what he's capable of. He'll be a steal in the second. So whoever gets him, will be great. So,
yeah. Do you think, speaking of spring game with Baker and stuff too, do you think Baker has a landing spot somewhere right now, or is it just because he still has a year of his rookie contract left and nobody wants to pay $18 million for him? Where at?
I need to be a Seahawks is all said and done.
Do you think they want to pay the $18 million though for his last deal of his rookie contract?
Can't go back to Cleveland. They have to try Watson. The Colts just got Matt Ryan. I'll be dead serious. As a Titans fan, I'll take him in a heartbeat.
It is also though, do you want to pay $18 million for a backup? Because he isn't probably going to be the starter right now. And I didn't even think about myself, but
I'll take him to take.
Well, living up to your namesake.
I still anybody but Ryan Tannehill.
I mean, Ryan Tannehill has proved himself. He's a solid quarterback with it. He's not your long-term solution, but I mean, if you want to invest in a quarterback,
well, we have all the pieces. Derrick Henry, AJ Brown.
Yeah.
We had Julio, but he was a bust for us.
Now, Sean, you're my Dallas person. Who do you think Dallas is going to take?
We're doomed next year anyway. I don't care.
Y'all lost everybody.
We didn't lose everybody,
right?
We didn't lose everybody, but I'm just pissed.
Here's my question, and this is I don't pay enough NFL attention. I'm mostly college. Is it the salary cap? Is it poor leadership? Is it a combination of everything? What's wrong with that? Woo! I made you laugh. That means this is a loaded question.
Nobody traded Amari Cooper for a bag of chips and Gatorade.
What's wrong with Dallas, Sean? What is wrong with Dallas?
That they, in theory, had a perfect roster last year to make a deep run, and they couldn't get past San Francisco. I don't know. Like you got lucky by getting like one of the most impactful defensive players in the draft last year. So you have that going for you.
Did he break the rookie record for most picks this season?
I have no idea. I can't remember off the top of my head. All I know is that. All I know is that.
Yeah, shit ton.
They need to fix the offensive line. Like 5 years ago, they had the best offensive line in the league, but then like Travis Frederick had to retire, and then like you have Tyron Smith who keeps getting hurt all the time. He's a great tackle, but he's hurt half the time it seems. Zach Martin's great, but it's just one of those things where you got to find a way to get the offensive line going again and make it stronger. And you're basically you're overpaying the wrong running back and Your backup running back is performing like he's getting paid that much money.
Yes. Again, Memphis alumni.
So Cooper's gone. You got CD Lamb. Gallup is sticking around. It's just, I don't know. Just you got to go back to the drawing board a little bit, and you got to figure out if Dak's the guy. Got to figure it out. So,
do you think he is the guy? Realistically, do you really think he is, or are you ready?
I mean, the problem is, who are you going to go get right now?
Exactly.
No, the answer is not Baker Mayfield. But so
you think
that there isn't anybody like you wouldn't draft a quarterback this year. This is like the worst.
This is a terrible year. Yeah.
If any quarterback ends up being a star, it's going to feel like it's going to be someone from the middle rounds that you don't expect.
Yeah.
It's one of those years where, like, I don't feel like Pickett's going to be anybody worth a damn. Like, everyone thought Rattler was going to be the dude, and we all know how that turned out. So,
but is that mostly on Rattler, or is that because of Riley? I mean, that's what's going to be both.
It's both. I mean, I think we put a lot of to be fair, we put a lot of stock into a COVID year. And I think that had a little to do with it. But even so, it's just, we've talked about that ad nauseum. So anyway,
yeah.
The point is for Dallas is like, we'll see how they do in the draft, but what they go and get. But free agency, they haven't been very active going to get guys that you thought they'd go get. So I'm just patiently waiting to see if they can get to the NFC Championship game one day.
I live in Atlanta, but for the life of me, I cannot get myself to cheer for the Falcons.
I was about to ask you, are you going to be going to the spring game? But that may be a little bit of a ways for you.
I love to. Here's the shittiest part. If the spring game was in May, I'd be able to go to a heartbeat. I'm going to Oklahoma May 11th.
Yeah. They always hold it in April. Always April. I will say.
It was on May 15th or May 14th. I would go on a heartbeat. Listen.
Yeah. I will say that was I remember you reminded me of a while back of a spring game I went to. I want to say it was 2013. Where it was like one of the most active tornado ones. Like, we're gonna hold it, but y'all are coming at your own risk at this point. We're all out there like, oh yeah, this feels like tornado weather. Please don't tornado on us while we're at the stadium. Please don't. So
hey Josh, I've got to get going actually here.
That's fine. I'm actually about to wrap up anyway. So Sean, do you have any final words?
Nope, I'm done. We're good.
All right, buddy. Baker, you got any final words, bud?
Watch out for basketball recruiting. There could be some potential transfer guys come with us. So.
Yep. Sounds good. All right, guys, then that's going to be our wrap. Thanks, guys, for tuning in. Sean, the Baker, thank y'all for tuning in tonight. It was real fun talking with y'all as usual. Be sure everybody comment, rate, subscribe, and hit the notification bell because, as usual, whenever we go live, you will get notified of it. Next time, we're going to kind of just go over what happens at the spring game here in about 2 weeks. And our once-in-a-quarter guest Fanatic Perspective are going to join us and give us their insight of the Longhorn spring game as well as anything else going around Texas. So that'll be a treat for them to come back on and chit chat with us. And I believe it's Steven and Tran who are going to try to get on at the same time. Other than that, guys, we're going to be signing off. Boomer Sooner. There's only one Oklahoma, guys, and I hope everybody enjoys the spring game. See y'all.
Goodbye.
Later.
What's up?